Hear ye, it's time to grade the Championship teams, as we've already done, League 1 and League 2, on the League of 72, the greatest YouTube channel that focuses solely on the EFL. My name is James Allcott, and as I said, I've already had a look at League 1, I've had a look at League 2, but now it's time to grade every single team in the Championship. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, make sure you check out all the fantastic content we've got with Ben Brereton, Scott Parker, Chris Wilder, Sam Vokes, the list goes on, and it's going to go on. So make sure you jump on the train, subscribe to the channel, and let's get started. Barnsley, D, miles off the pace. So it's a really tricky one for Barnsley. It's harsh, you know, that we've spoken to fans of theirs about the channel. The manager, of course, has gone. The manager didn't work out at all. But that whole scenario was created from their own success. They've kind of been a victim of their own success here. If you think losing their captain Alex Mowat and their manager Valerian Ismail, if they'd finished 10th last season, would both of those people have gone to West Brom? Probably not. So they're really hard done by there in that sense, but the drop-off has been alarming. 2 wins from 23 games makes it look like Barnsley will be playing League 1 football next season. Birmingham City, C. Initially promising, then fell off, then promised again, then fell off again. Who knows what's next? It's been a really funny season for Birmingham City so far. I think at the start of it, we thought with the additions of Chong, of Troy Deeney, Chukwuemeka all coming into the club, Jordan Graham as well, we were excited. And that hype continued. You know, great opening day victory against Sheffield United, a great victory against Luton, beating them 5-0. And then all of a sudden, their season fell off a cliff, losing 5 of 6. And scoring 1 goal. They've since kind of figured it out a little bit and picked it up a little bit, then fallen off again, and they currently find themselves in 17th place in the table. They finished 18th last season. Probably the only difference is that element of, I guess, seeing a bit more quality than last season overall, even though it is very, very up and down, and the fact that I don't really see them being in a relegation fight this season. That said, I'm a touch disappointed with how it's gone for them. Blackburn Rovers, A. They have Fulham and Bournemouth firmly in their sights. Since losing 7-0 to Fulham on the 3rd of November, Blackburn have gone on one hell of a run. 7 unbeaten, they've won 6 of those, only drawing 1. Another impressive thing during that run is the fact that they've had 5 clean sheets. They've only conceded 2 goals so far in that run. The other great thing in all of this is the fact that there's been a bit of a downturn in the form of Fulham and Bournemouth, which has allowed Blackburn to find themselves just 3 points off the automatics, 4 points off the top of the table. Despite losing their main goal scorer in Alan Armstrong, Tony Mowbray has been able to find a lovely balance to the side after being accused of overcomplicating things last season. Blackpool, A. To be in 13th position with their limited resources at this stage of the season is sensational. I mean, if you proposed to a Blackpool fan and said, look, you're going to be 5 points off the playoffs at the turn of the year, I think people would have snapped your hand off. Like, they're absolutely delighted with how Blackpool are doing so far, coming up from League 1. Heavy favourites really to be right down there at the end of the season. And so far, they've been brilliant. And it's been a lot of the great stuff and the great work that Neil Critchley put together in League 1, being brilliant without the ball, just as much as doing well with it and being able to score goals and stay in games has been so important for them. It shows that they're very well coached. Neil Critchley deserves huge credit for having Blackpool in a really lovely and safe position at the time of recording. Bournemouth, A. I mean, top of the table, they've only lost 4 matches all season whilst promoting academy projects and playing attacking football. Pretty special. Granted, there's been a slight dip in recent weeks, but let's not allow that recency bias to affect us here. Bournemouth are having a fantastic season. Scott Parker, who we did an interview with, you should go and check that out, has been fantastic in terms of building a squad and the lovely balance to the squad and the age of the squad and utilising the quality that is still certainly there and adding the likes of Gary Cahill to the mix. He's been brilliant tactically and not getting enough credit for it. If you think of Philip Billing's role, I mean, no previous Bournemouth manager or Huddersfield Town managers had seen Philip Billing play in that role. And he's been superb for them. And that's something that Scott Parker has seen. If you think 11 goal contributions this season, that's just one off his entire tally last season, so he will go past that. He's been integral for them. Solanke's done great as well. And then, of course, we've got to talk about Jadon Anthony. 10 goal contributions from a guy who wasn't really near the first team squad at the start of the season. 6 goals and 4 assists from 21 starts. He could have even more as well. He's created 9 big chances, which is a big chance every other game. Overall, as a collective, they have great energy, great quality, and they're going to be really hard to stop in terms of the automatic promotion places. Bristol City, C-, just surprisingly soft at the back. With the Robins currently in 18th position, 8 points above the relegation places, I think you can feel somewhat comfortable in the fact that Bristol City won't get dragged into a relegation battle too much and will be playing Championship football next season. However, Bristol City have been very clear in their ambitions of wanting to be a top 6 side and have a go and finally break that glass ceiling of making it into the Premier League. And if they want to sort out those ambitions and fulfill them, then they need to be much better without the ball. Their open play rigidity is really, really poor. They conceded the 3rd most open play XG so far this season, and they've conceded twice on more than 11 separate league matches this season. To put that simply, every other match, Bristol City need to score 3 goals to get themselves a win. 2 goals just to get themselves a draw. It's too soft, and they need to sort that out because that's not a Nigel Pearson side. Cardiff City, it's a D. They're a one-trick pony, and they are really lacking going forward. So when it comes to Cardiff City, obviously you could split up their season so far into 2 eras, the Mick McCarthy era and the Steve Morrison era. The reason they go down as a D instead of a C- like Bristol City is the fact that they're just getting a little bit too close for comfort when it comes to that relegation battle. 3 points off the relegation zone at the moment is not where Cardiff City want to be as well. The South Wales side are just about keeping their heads above water at the moment, and it's just been a very turgid season for them. The amount of focus and I guess almost pressure to this point on set pieces for them to score goals has been pretty alarming. They have the quality in the squad to play better in open play. 40% of their total XG has come from set pieces this season, which I think pretty much says it all. They've got some very good attacking options, but they haven't been able to utilise them aside from dead balls, which is really, really disappointing. Coventry City, A, progressing every season. Coventry City currently find themselves in 10th, but they have been in 3rd spot and have been in the top half and around the top 6 for the duration of the season so far. Really, really good start to this season, and the progression continues to be there for the Sky Blues. If you have a look at the last few seasons, the last 3 consecutive seasons, they've finished higher than they have the season before. If you think just last season, they finished 16th, of course, and just about really survived as the season progressed. They started to wilt a little bit as the season went on. The season before that, of course, were playing in League One, and 4 seasons ago were finishing 6th in League Two. The progression of this football club is a lovely, lovely thing to see. Coventry City fans have got to be so excited. They have their home back as well. They're playing exciting football as well with young, promising players that they're developing again under the tutelage of Mark Robins. It's been a fantastic start to the season for them, and they're currently only 2 points off 6th, so promotion is still in their sights. Derby County, B+. They've been more competitive than people would have given them credit for, including me. You've got to be fair, Derby County have actually really, really surprised me. Without points deductions, Derby would be on 28 points. That would put them in 15th place in the table so far this season. And 16th doesn't sound like anything too exciting, especially for a club like Derby County, who in their recent history have always been going for those playoff places and automatic to a point as well. However, if you look at the start of the season, look at the fact that they had 14 players. One of those had a very long-term injury as well. You've got to give Wayne Rooney and Rossignol credit for what they have done at this football club. Only 7 losses so far this season. Huddersfield Town have 8, and they're currently 8th. It's a testament to the playing philosophy and the grit of this Derby County side that they have been able to get as many points as they have with such a threadbare squad. Fulham, A-, was very close to giving them a B+. We'll get on to the electric elements of Fulham in just a second because they have been the entertainers of the league so far. 51 goals in the league is astounding. But there is an interesting weakness about this Fulham side. Now, maybe we're clutching at straws here because Fulham have been so great, but they aren't top of the table at the time of recording, and this could be more a thing of Marco Silva's sides. They've gained the least amount of points from losing positions in the Championship, just 1 point. Now, I hear what you're saying. The sample size of that is quite small because generally they've been in the lead of a lot of games. But if you look at Marco Silva's time at Everton, there was a similar story there. 28 games where they went behind, only 5 points were recouped. So maybe something to keep an eye on in the second half of the season. Aside from that, Mitrovic, one of the big talking points of the season so far, 22 goals from him, which is a joke at this stage of the season. Deep line creativity from Jean-Michel Seri has been a class above. He's walking around at times. He looks that great. And Adarabioyo has been a mobile man mountain at the back for them as well, for a team that is incredibly dominant in most of the games that they play. Huddersfield Town, proving a lot of people wrong. Last season under Corberan, Huddersfield Town, they rolled over really, really easily. They had a soft underbelly. And I think a lot of people were wondering if Corberan would last the season, really. This season, he's really tightened up that element of the game, and two areas of the game, actually. First of all, in terms of conceding goals, last season 1.5, this season 1.2 so far. And that doesn't sound like much, it sounds minimal, but over the course of the season, that could be the difference between finishing 17th and 10th. The other side of it is that Corberan wanted a very high possession-based style of football last season, but that means that at times it allows the opposition to get back and you've got to break them down. This season, 48% possession, which allows the wingers and the forwards that little bit more space because they're playing quicker, they're playing into the space quicker and utilising the space in front of them, which is essentially what football's about, is space versus possession. And they've gone a different route. It's worked for them. You've allowed the quality of Sorba Thomas, for example, to thrive, and they've done really, really well. Hull City, B. 19th at Christmas isn't that bad. A real rollercoaster of a season so far for Hull City, and a great example of what the Championship is all about. And first of all, you've got to remember, Hull City could only loan players. They haven't been able to sign players permanently. So that does affect the playing squad somewhat. But also, if you think about that terrible run, the opening day victory, it all looked very exciting and rosy. Then a 9-game winless run, 7 defeats and 2 draws, made it look like Hull City were definitely on the chopping block in terms of being relegated, and still are, of course, in that dogfight. But having won 4 out of their 5 games in November, they now find themselves out of the bottom 3, which I think halfway through maybe September, October, you were thinking that you would have absolutely taken that if you're a Hull City fan. They've given themselves an opportunity to survive in this league, and that's what the aim was at the start of the season for sure. Luton Town, B. I did have them pegged to be a little bit higher, but it's not bad at all. At the beginning of the season, I saw them as a bit of a dark horse. Luton Town, I thought they might be able to do something really exciting this season, and of course they've still got time on their side. But it hasn't totally materialised. I thought they would be a little bit higher than 14th. And some people gloss over the fact that Nathan Jones really does want to play this attacking style of football, and I think that's something that should be commended. And the exciting thing, I think, if you're a Luton Town fan, is the fact that they are adding more goals to this side. Last season, they managed a total of 41 goals despite accumulating 58.21 XG. So maybe the quality wasn't there, maybe the refinement of those chances as well wasn't totally there. This season, of course, at the halfway point, they are far more refined. Have scored 31 goals from an XG of 32.11. They've also got the 4th highest XG in the league. So having that freedom that you would love to see for a team of Luton Town size. Middlesbrough, B. Chris Wilder has taken them up a grade. Of course, Neil Warnock made way for Chris Wilder. We did a great interview on Chris Wilder actually right at the start of the season, so make sure you go and check that out on the channel. But he really has taken him up a notch, hasn't he? So let's talk about Chris Wilder when it comes to this one. So since coming in, he's won 4, he's drawn 2 and lost just 1 of the 6 matches that he's been in charge. And in the short time that he's been in charge, I think the couple of things that you've seen is, first of all, that style of play is very clear in terms of how Chris Wilder wants to play. He wants to play on the front foot. But also that kind of comes from the mental approach as well. He's very headstrong in how he's played. If you think of the wins that have come for Chris Wilder so far, wins against Huddersfield, Swansea and Bournemouth, these are all very different teams and different places to go within the league as well, which shows that he's been able to get the best out of a squad that does need reinforcements. And to get Middlesbrough into 5th place in the league at this stage of the season when you've lost a manager like Neil Warnock, I think is very, very commendable. And ultimately, that's why I've given them a B, is the fact that I actually thought that Middlesbrough would be in the playoffs this season. And so they've now kind of reached equality once again. Millwall, C+. Love a draw. It's tough to give Millwall anything else really here for a team that's so middle of the road so far this season. The amount of draws that they've got, 9 so far this season. Only Derby County have more with 10. And ultimately, I think it's down to an over-reliance maybe on Jed Wallace. I think with the players that were coming in, likes of Benicofobia, they were hoping that he could be that match winner that could turn a lot of very close games into victories for them. But so far, that hasn't happened. That said, they've only lost 6 games so far this season. So another team that could, with just 1 or 2 more match winners, take themselves into that playoff contention for sure. Tom Bradshaw, of course, has started scoring goals now. 3 goals in his last 3 games, so maybe he could be that guy for Millwall. But just 1 or 2 transfers that click could really take Millwall to the next level. Nottingham Forest, we're going to have to give them 2 ratings. I just can't do it. Under Houghton, it was a D, had to be. Under Cooper, A. I mean, you have to give these 2 separate scores because it's paradoxical, the change in this team. A fascinating January awaits Nottingham Forest, who are currently 4th in the form table, 10 points from their last 5 matches. Steve Cooper's come in and tactically completely changed up Nottingham Forest. Of course, we do an entire video on the channel doing a deep dive, having a look at clips and seeing how well Forest now work the ball out wide and create chances into the box as well. So go check that video out if you want a real, I think it's 12-minute deep dive, maybe even longer, on Steve Cooper's Nottingham Forest and the changes that he's made. But they're looking really strong for a top 6 finish. And as I say, with a few maybe Premier League loans, using the contacts of Steve Cooper in January, who knows what Nottingham Forest could do this season. Peterborough United, D+. They're in a relegation battle, but did we really expect anything else? Not too many surprises for Peterborough United, really, because I think we were thinking that how did they go up? They went up due to fantastic attacking displays, but going up into the Championship, were they going to be able to score that same amount of goals to deal with what at times was quite a dodgy back line? They've gone up, the defensive solidity hasn't been there, but the goals haven't been there down the other end as well, which of course leads to defeats and being down the bottom of the table. Peterborough have conceded 30.5 XG from open play alone, which is the joint most in the league. They've also conceded the most actual goals from open play as well, 34, so a touch unlucky when it comes to the amount of goals in comparison to their XG. But overall, as a newly promoted side, I think it was always going to be a bit of a struggle. But it's interesting. We look at how what got Blackpool up, and that's serving them really well. What got Peterborough up is not serving them well at the moment. So at both ends of the pitch, they need to improve. Otherwise, they could be going down. Preston, C+, steady so far this season, and I'm really excited to see how they will improve under Lowe. You really are lucky. The League of 72, you have to subscribe to this channel. You know, I've just shown you and told you about a couple of different videos that are available on the channel. Well, here's another one. How Preston will line up under Ryan Lowe. It's done. We've already done it. It's on the channel right now. You can go and watch it. So there's not too much to say about Preston North End, really. I mean, they haven't got too dragged into a relegation fight at any point during the season. I think they're exactly where we all expected them to be under their squad. I think the most important thing is that Preston North End fans can be excited about Ryan Lowe and what he could do with this squad. Go check that video out after this one. I'm going to give a B+ to my beloved Queen's Park Rangers. I would love to give them an A, but we're not in the playoff places right now, and that's what I wanted. I think overall it's so tight at the moment, and as a club, QPR have come a long way after a difficult couple of years. And Mark Warburton deserves huge credit for that. And the style of play has been really interesting. It's been, I guess, a doubling down on that possession-based approach, which allows you to be strong defensively whilst keeping a hold of the ball. We've got an average of 56% possession in most of the games. And in terms of being clutch and taking our chances, I think the big reason for that is the fact that we really do wear teams down in the first half. And in the second half, those little pockets of space open up and we're often able to create those chances, and we've got the quality of Charlie Austin, Lyndon Dykes, Andre Gray up top to take those chances. So far this season, 1.5 big chances per game, and we're scoring on average 1.6 goals per game, and I think that says it all, really. We are trying to wear teams down at times. It can be a little bit frustrating because you want them to hurry up a little bit, but in Warburton we trust, and with a squad that's been brought together on a very, very shoestring budget, I think we can be really proud of how well we've done so far this season, whilst entertaining as well the likes of Willock and Chair. Reading, C, doing well not to be in the bottom 3, although they're only 2 points off them at the moment. Reading's 6-point deduction has dragged them into a relegation scrap, but they've kind of been, floating about, playing quite well at times. A lot of high-profile players in terms of names who've had struggles at other clubs, making their way, the likes of Drinkwater and Andy Carroll as well. But of course, this wasn't the Reading side of last season. If you think Michael Elise has gone to Crystal Palace, Lucas João has been injured throughout the season pretty much, and certainly it looks like he's going to be out for the rest of the season. There's been a lot of pressure on Jonathan Swift, but fortunately he has delivered. Unbelievable goal-scoring form from him so far. 17 goal contributions, 8 goals and 9 assists. That's 63% of all of Reading's goals. So John Swift, you get an A+, actually. Reading, you get a C. Sheffield United, C+. Tale of two halves. This has been the case with quite a few when we're grading the teams in the Championship. Of course, there's before the manager left and then there's after the manager and a new manager coming in. I mean, amazing change around to have Jokanovic not make it to Christmas. Paul Heckingbottom, of course, comes in and he's having a much longer-term approach. He's made it very clear that he wants to lower the age of the squad, and he's gone back to that Chris Wilder style of play, 3 at the back, which, of course, became synonymous with the South Yorkshire club. I think that final position, I wonder if this is a bit of a coy ploy maybe from Heckingbottom, where he's kind of trying to take the pressure off this club. It's become it's such a big game for every other team in the league, and I think Sheffield United have struggled with that high profile level that they've had to deal with coming down from the Premier League. But they are 11th in the league at the moment. They do have quality, and there could be a lot of changes in January. It's going to be interesting to see how they kind of realign their ambitions for the rest of the season once we get to the 1st of February. Stoke City, I'm going to give them an A because, I mean, it could be so much better for them. This could be the season for them. You've got to keep an eye out on these guys. And it is going to be such a ding-dong, the playoffs, getting into those final games of the season, because there are so many teams in the fight for those top 6 positions. And they've created a lovely reputation of playing really good football in the last year or so under Michael O'Neill, but they haven't actually scored that many goals. 26 goals so far this season puts them 14th when it comes to goals scored in the league. However, Stoke actually ranked 4th when it comes to total key passes this season, with 79. A lot of that is down to Vrancic, who's been probably one of the players of the season so far. 2.3 key passes per game from him, which is pretty special stuff. And in open play, they're very incisive, Stoke City. They're an exciting team to watch. Also defensively, 21 goals so far this season, which is pretty strong as well. So on their day can beat anyone. On their day can pick apart anyone. And if they can start scoring a few more goals, with, of course, Campbell now back to full fitness, then sky's the limit for Stoke. Swansea City, B-. It's a project, but the results aren't quite there just yet. 16th at Christmas, you would be fair in suggesting that you would have liked Swansea City to be a bit higher, of course, making it to the playoff final last season. But with the players that have left, a new manager coming in, I think Swansea fans are all very patient and understanding that this is a bit of a transition season for Swansea City, moving from the way that Cooper played to this new Russell Martin style, which is littered with passes. It is crazy the amount that they passed. More passes than anyone in the league so far this season. Swansea are averaging 545 passes per 90. Over 500 passes per match is just lunacy, really. It's crazy. But, of course, there is method to the madness. Russell Martin's a really exciting young manager, and I think Swansea City fans can see that they're trying to move towards this new style of play, which could get them back up the league. West Bromwich Albion, B. Implementing a new style, a bit like Swansea as well, but the expectations are a little bit higher, aren't they? 4th in the table and only 4 points off the automatics. You would have thought that this is great, this is all going well, but there has been a few rumblings along the way due to the frustration of just how maybe radical Valérien Ismaël likes to set up his team. Loves to press from the front. If you don't know, I'm sure you do if you've watched any of them this season. And it works, you know. They create opportunities, certainly in this league as well. 2.3 big chances per game so far this season. The one problem for West Brom is the fact that they're not taking those chances a lot of the time. There needs to be that element of composure in the final third, which is difficult when you're playing such a high-octane style of football. It's really tough. If you think the XG that's been created so far this season, 44.85 expected goals for them. They've only scored 30 goals. So it's one of those where, yes, there's an element of frustration there, but at least you're creating chances. And if West Brom go out and get themselves a striker that can deal with that kind of energy and environment and take those chances when they come, West Brom could be really scary and could still very easily make their way into the top 2 by the end of the season. So there you have it, guys. Every single team in the EFL ranked. This was, of course, the Championship edition, but we've got League 1 and League 2. Go and check out those videos right this second. Subscribe to the League of 72, where we will be offering up all sorts of access and tactical analysis as the weeks progress towards the end of the season, the business end of the season. We're on the turn now. We're in January, so it's an exciting time. So make sure you don't miss out on a single upload by hitting that subscribe button and the notification bell as well. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.